Oh, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. My name is Justin Moore, founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorships. Today, we're back for another live stream. Appreciate each and every one of you who show up here every week. And today, we're talking about the real reason that your sponsorships are not consistent. This is a very pervasive thought that a lot of creators have, which is that, brand deals are great when you can get them, but you just can't rely on that income because, it's just very unpredictable when and when they will not land in your inbox, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about why that's a myth. And we're going to have a lot of fun today. So I am live streaming across a bunch of different platforms: YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. So let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. I am going to pull up my Instagram chat here because I don't have it on my main screen here. We've got Valeria the Angel. We've got M Trainer. We've got Rebuilding Joy tuning in. We've got Allison Tavares from TikTok. We've got, let's see who else we got tuning in here. I've got my TikTok. I've got so many different screens that I'm looking at right now. We've got Forever Self-Employed. What's going on, man? Good to see you here. I think that's you, Justin, right? I think that's you. And we got Ramen Razzi family tuning in. Good to see you here as well. So as you know, these live streams that I do every week are for you. I'm here to serve you. And so we also do a live Q&A. So if you have any questions around brand deals, sponsorships, negotiations, you name it, all fair game here. So I want to start off, though, talking about this, today's topic, which is the real reason that sponsorships aren't consistent. And so I prepared a few kind of things to get the juices flowing here. And so we're going to dive into that right now. So the real reason that your sponsorships aren't consistent is because you're sitting on your hands waiting for brands to reach out to you. I never really quite realized how pervasive of a thought this is with most creators, especially when you're starting out, is that, you know what? I didn't even know that I could reach out to brands. Right. I just thought it was the thing when I got big enough, when I got enough subscribers or viewers or downloads on my podcast or whatever, that the brands would just kind of come to me. I would finally get on their radar and they would bestow this opportunity to me. They were just gracing me with this. Right. There's this power imbalance, right, where you just feel so privileged to get a deal from a brand. The idea of supplementing your inbound deal flow, those inquiries that are coming in and landing in your DMs or your inbox, the idea that you could actually be supplementing those opportunities with outbound outreach, where you're actually proactively reaching out to brands and pitching them and saying, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you in the following ways. That idea is quite foreign to most creators, I would say. And honestly, it kind of makes sense because, for a lot of us, we did not get into this, like creating content and doing all this stuff. Either, number one, we didn't get into it thinking that we were going to actually be able to make money from it. That wasn't like the idea. It was like you just had a general passion for it and you wanted to share that, right? But also, you never really got into this with a business mindset, right? You were like, either that's not your strong suit, you've never done that before, or the idea of, building what I call a sponsorship wheel or a sales pipeline, basically, is totally foreign. And so perhaps even creating content was an escape from the business stuff. It's like, oh, I'm so bored in my 9-to-5 job, or I'm, bored over here. And let me go do this creative thing over here because that's really exciting to me. Right. And so the idea of doing any sort of business related things on your, social media platforms or your, podcast or newsletter, wherever you've built your audience, it's distasteful. It's like, I don't want to do that. Right. I don't want to this thing that really energizes me. I don't want to sully that by having to make money off of it or make it, too businessy and all this stuff. Right. I'm here to say that I understand. I first, I want to acknowledge that. I understand that people don't want to cross those boundaries. They want to, because, I'll be totally honest. that is something that can happen, right? When you start to derive income from something and it becomes more than a hobby, and you start to try to put systems in place and processes and formalize it and all that stuff too. Well, then it starts to kind of feel like a job now. And it's like, do you really want that? And so I've met a lot of creators actually who are actually, they don't want to quit their full-time job. They actually enjoy being a side hustle creator and having the stability of the 9-to-5 income, and just all the income that they're making on their, social media or whatever is just kind of, icing on the cake. Right. And so I'll always respect that. Like I have nothing, I'm never going to drag, that perspective or that desire. And so I think that what it really comes down to is realizing that if you want to either quit your full-time job and do this for a living, and sponsorships are a major way in which you make money as a creator, then you have to take this stuff serious, the business stuff seriously. You have no option other than to do that. And so this is what I focus on a lot, is like, how do you do this in a way that is in alignment with your own integrity, in a way that doesn't turn you off from the craft, and in a way that you feel excited to wake up and do this day in and day out. And I feel so blessed that I am in that position. I feel like I'm in that position right now, where I'm so excited to wake up each and every day because I'm doing something that I really genuinely love. And I found a way to monetize it in a way that doesn't feel icky. It doesn't feel salesy. It's in a way in which I know that I'm providing tremendous value for my audience, tremendous value from the brand partners that I collaborate with, tremendous value for people who book me on coaching calls or join my course or whatever. Right. And so I feel as though I'm in this sweet spot right now. And I realize you may not be there quite yet, and that's okay, right? It may take a little while for you to figure out what that is for you and your niche and your subject area. You may not be doing any sort of direct monetization stuff where people are paying you directly for stuff. You're primarily monetizing indirectly through sponsorships or AdSense or whatever it is, right? You're not having that like sales conversation with your followers. But you have to start down and sit and think, like one thing I actually did early on was I made this thing called I think it's called a mind map. But basically it's like you draw it all out. Like, what is my business model as a creator, right? Like you put your, I put Creator Wizard right in the middle. And then I had all these like branches out of like all the different ways in which I could potentially, turn this into a business, like, and not just a business, like there's ways in which I'm going to serve people for free too. It's like a lot of ways, like you see, I publish so much stuff for free, but then like when it comes to the monetization stuff, I'm going to start kind of drawing this out. Like, what would this look like? Right. Start to put some processes. Maybe it means you're going to invest in your business and you're going to hire a VA. You're going to invest in other potentially, video editors or thumbnail artists or like graphic, social media managers or whatever it is, like whatever you think you might need to do to succeed, then that's a really, really big component. Let's talk real quickly about a big change that I made in my business recently, which was that I'm coming up on I actually just hit about 3 years since I first uploaded my first YouTube video in 2020, June 2020. And I was doing it all for a long time. I didn't have anyone on the team, right? But then I slowly but surely, I hired a VA, and then I hired, Dee, who's incredible. She was, for a long time, she was kind of helping with the community and running office hours and all that stuff too. And I recently decided to bring her on as my number 2. Basically, I promoted her to her new title as Director of Operations and Community, because what I found was that, well, first I just want to acknowledge like Dee 100% earned that, because she is amazing. She has done, taken the community and like the way in which we serve people to a whole nother level. If you've been in my courses or you've interacted with her in any way, you know that she's like a very, very unique and talented individual. And so she completely earned that. But one thing it helped me realize was that now that I've been able to empower, her to serve our audience and our community and all that stuff, it really helped me realize like I have a very particular set of skills. That's I did not intend to be that Liam Neeson line, but like I have a very particular, they call it zone of genius, right? Like my specialty is content. Like and kind of in real time, being able to very tactfully give people advice on, like, let's say my coaching calls or public coaching calls, et cetera. And so like, I know that that's my strength, and that the things like public speaking and doing more writing and like, just kind of being that kind of thought leader, I guess, where I'm out there kind of advocating. I'm the evangelist for my brand, for Creator Wizard, and an evangelist for this idea about sponsorship strategy and coaching and all this stuff too. And this idea that I believe 99% of creators don't need managers. Like this, I'm very out here kind of banging the drum, kind of early on in this journey. Like that's my skill. That is what I need to be spending the vast majority of my time doing. And so, if that's the vision, if I'm going to help creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships by 2032, so in 9 years, like I got to be the one out there doing that, right? And that means that I need people to help me keep the lights on in the business and the thing and the day-to-day running, right? We've got the newsletter we're sending out 3 times a week. We've got all this content we're publishing across a bunch of different platforms. We've got our ongoing asynchronous coaching program. We have our course, so we've got all these different. We've got just so many moving pieces, right? And it's like if that is what I'm spending all my time doing on a day in and day out basis, there's no way I can do all those other things. There's no way I'm going to be able to write the book that I want to write. There's no way that I'm going to be able to hit those, massive numbers of creators that I want to impact. And so this is a big moment for me to be able to acknowledge that. And I was on a podcast yesterday and they asked me, like, would you consider yourself a perfectionist? And I was like, 100%. Like I used to think like every single person who emails me back when I send out a newsletter, it has to be me replying to them. Like I have to be the one, like, cause it's the personal touch. And like, that's the reason that people are enrolling in my courses and doing my coaching calls and all this stuff. Cause it's like me, it's like that personal touch. And it took a lot for me. I still do respond to a lot of them, but like now my team members are helping me. And there's a way in which they can gracefully kind of step into the conversation and say, oh, I just want to respond on behalf of Justin, et cetera. Because look, I have 31,000, almost 32,000 creators on my newsletter now. There's no possible way that I can respond. I get hundreds of emails a day now, like literally. Then it's not spam. These are like people replying to the emails, right? And so imagine the toll that takes. So it really is the reason I want to kind of go down this road to kind of pull back the curtains of like what's going on in my business is because unless you sit down and think like, okay, what is the engine? What is the monetization engine that I need to put in place to be able to have more consistency in income? It requires you to be more thoughtful about this stuff. It's not just going to happen on its own. You have to sit and think. And if you don't feel like you have a lot of great people around you to help you brainstorm this stuff, find those people, right? Because it's there. Believe me, there's people out there who have figured this stuff out already, right? And so I'm such a big proponent of surrounding yourself with other creators and other mentors and other coaches and investing in your knowledge and investing in your education and really learning, okay, like what is it going to take for me to get some consistency in my income? And so specifically with respect to brand partnerships, like you have to create systems. You have to be supplementing these inbound opportunities with outbound outreach. And that's the way in which it's going to, instead of it going like this and it's this roller coaster, you now have clarity to look at your sponsorship wheel, look at your pipeline and be like, okay, I know like what's going to happen for the next 6 months of my revenue streams because I have all these conversations going on right now, right? And I know that these, I've got this invoice hitting then and this invoice hitting in 90 days and I've got blah, 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 right? And so it's a really, really big and important factor. I'm going to take a pause here. We've got Shital, we've got Andy, we've got Concise Tech tuning in. We've got some folks on LinkedIn. I can't see your username on LinkedIn. It says, I didn't know you did lives over here. Glad to listen. Yes, great to see you here. Maybe you can tell me your name. We've got She Fires. What's going on? We got Parker's on the go. Let's see. We've got Melissa Mitchell, Abby tuning in. We've got Jareen. She says, your free resources are the best. They have helped me tremendously. Jareen, I appreciate that so much. Can you let me know? Let me know. How have they helped you? Give me a little anecdote also in the TikTok chat, because I'm always so curious, we've got Molly tuning in on Instagram. What's up, Molly? We've got Mrs. Juno saying D is amazing. I love her. Yes, absolutely. We've got Mama Knows Learning. We've got Adalti, I think it is. Deltalti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Brim Factor. We've got it's Tim Beeler. We've got Jessica McKeel Gardner. We've got Isa White. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Pilates Body by Kayla. Good to see you here. We've got a bunch of people tuning in. Danny Marie. Good to see you all here. We've got Christopher Watts, Visionary Watts on social. Good to see you here. We got Nice Chris just signed a contract for a brand deal today. I only have 5,000 subs, but charged a good amount and got free products on top of it. Come on, guys. You know what we do here. We congratulate everyone who gets, we're celebrating our wins each and every Friday. So we need some golf claps here for Chris in the chat here. Everyone drop some golf claps. Everyone drop some money tongue emojis. If you guys have any wins, now is the time to share them, because we love sharing those each and every Friday here. So I'm going to take a swig real quick. Nice Chris says, all thanks to you. I appreciate you, man. But you know what? That was all you. I just played, even if I played a small role in helping you land that deal, I'm so thrilled for you, man. So congrats. Mo at Wells, we got some hand claps in the, you're getting some hand claps here, Chris. So we're all proud of you. All right. So I'm going to dive back into a few things more I want to talk about. So the real reason that your sponsorships aren't consistent is because you haven't illustrated to brands why they should hire you over and over again. Okay? Because what most creators do is, they may work with the brand once, but then they send their screenshots of their analytics, they send the invoice, they get paid, and then sayonara, never going to talk to you again, brand. Couple reasons why creators do that. Number one, they're so fixated on their own content calendar, right? You're on the content hamster wheel, and I get it, right? It's overwhelming sometimes. Following up with brands is not the first thing on your, priority list. So I understand that. The second reason that creators don't follow up with brands is because they're terrified that the campaign didn't go well. They're worried that if they say, hey, how'd it go? And the brand says, actually, you didn't drive any sales, or we weren't super thrilled about the amount of views on this video or engagement or whatever. And so what most creators tend to do is they cover their eyes, their ears, they stick their head in the sand, and they just, never talk to the brand again, right? And so now they're back there out there, kind of hustling for the next deal. And so of course it feels like this churn and burn. It just feels exhausting. And then people get burned out to the idea of working with brands because they just feel like it's so exhausting. And so they start to investigate some of these other monetization strategies. And so one thing that I hope everyone listening, I'm going to give you this big mindset shift here, which is that there's only going to be two outcomes when you ask, hey, how'd it go, right? They're either going to say, hey, it went awesome. We'd love to work with you again. And then here's your opening to pitch them on the next collaboration idea, number one. Or they're going to say, you know what? It actually didn't go so well. And so you're either going to win or you're going to learn something. Right? You are going to say, you have the humility as a creator to say, you know what? I'm so glad that you were able to tell us that. I really want to figure out why that is. Here are some of my insights about why I think it didn't, perhaps perform relative to your expectations. Can you also share with me, brand, why you think it might not have performed well? Because, I have some ideas here. And you know what? I actually got some insights from my audience. There was a couple things that people said in the comments, or maybe I got some replies to the emails or some DMs or whatever of people saying, hey, I saw you talking about this brand or whatever. Here's why I'm concerned about signing up, or here's why I don't think it's going to work for me or whatever. These are all real objections, right? This whole idea around consumer psychology and understanding how you have to overcome objections for people to purchase something. This is like psychological stuff you need to think about when you're doing your sponsorships. And so if you're able to circle back to the brand, feedback from your audience, that may be the key for them to be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's give this another shot. Let's focus on this objection that people have on the next piece of content. right? I've told this story before that I was on Nathan Barry's podcast, who's the CEO of ConvertKit. And he, we were talking about this idea, like what if you forged a partnership with a creator and they didn't get that many signups for ConvertKit? That was the goal and it didn't really work out. But the creator came back to you and said, you know what? I had all these people in my comment section saying, oh yeah, I've heard of ConvertKit, but I'm on MailChimp right now, but I have so many like automations and sequences and tags and stuff set up in there. I just feel like it would be such a pain in the butt to migrate everyone. Like I don't even want to do that. And if you were able to circle that feedback back to ConvertKit, they could be able to say, oh, wow, I didn't know that was the big objection. We actually have a concierge migration team for free, where we will help people migrate their accounts over to ConvertKit. That can be the focus of the next partnership idea, right? And so there's this whole subject that I talk about in my course, Brand Deal Wizard, called a post-campaign report. You have to be creating these reports and sending them to the brand. And it's not just quantitative stats. It's not just the metrics, right? It's also qualitative information like we just talked about, right? That they can then forward on to their superior, to their boss and be like, hey, look at this like deck, this report that this creator put together for us. They're giving us insights. They're giving us ideas about what we could do for the next collaboration. Make it easy for them to pay you, basically, right? Because if you're not the one pitching them, these future collaborations idea, they're not going to suggest it to you. Like I remember it was funny. I was on a call with a creator. This was like a Q&A call for my Brand Deal Wizard program. And they were like, I don't know why I'm not getting any like follow-up brand deals. Like, I've done quite a few brand deals, but no one ever seems to come back and want to work with me again. And I basically very simply asked like, okay, well, are you following up with the brand and with ideas about the next idea? And they're like, well, no, but like, shouldn't they want to come back to me if it went well and want to work with me again? And I'm like, no, it's your job to go pitch that, right? You can't just assume that the only way in which you can get repeat deals is if you're the one, if they're the one that has to come back to you. It doesn't work like that. Like they're busy. They're doing lots of different things. They may be working with a bunch of different creators. When you follow up and say, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you again, the brand may say, oh, that's awesome. We actually didn't realize that you would be interested in a long-term partnership. So just, again, don't make any assumptions, okay? Can we put some like manifestation, like put it in the chat here. Okay, I will not make any assumptions when working with brands. I want you to type it out. I will never make assumptions when working with brands. Can you do that, please? Just type it into the chat so I know you're hearing me. I know you're listening to me because this is very, very, very important. Jareen says also your YouTube content is gold. The coaching calls are amazing. Jareen, I appreciate that so much. Jareen says, I've been able to use them to structure my brand partnerships. The tiers for packages is so helpful. Boom. Let's get it. I'm going to get some sound effects for you, Doreen. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Love to see it. Raman Rati says, I will not make assumptions when working with brands. Danny says, I will not make assumptions. You guys are typing it. I love to see it. Thank you for that validation. All right. So, the Harshwise says, I will never assume. I love to see it. I love to see it. All right. Okay, so I have one more thing I want to talk about here before we dive into the Q&A. It's related to this topic. So the real reason that your sponsorships aren't consistent is because you don't have predictable pricing. And you might be thinking, predictable pricing, what the heck does that mean? Well, let me explain how it works when you are working with either brands who do a lot of partnerships month over month, quarter over quarter, or you're working with an advertising agency who is responsible for executing influencer marketing campaigns on behalf of their client, who is the brand. So if a brand works with you once, okay, they have now one data point of how much you charge them to work with this brand. It was probably some very specific scope of work. Maybe it was like a couple social posts, it was a podcast insertion, it was a YouTube video, newsletter blast, whatever it was, whatever platform you're on. And they now have that stored away in their mind or in their little database or their email or whatever. And they know that, okay, we worked with Justin, 3 months ago and it was $10,000 or whatever it is, right? And so Fast forward 3 months, fast forward 6 months, and they are now planning their next campaign or their next activation. And in their mind, what they're going to do is they're going to go and they're going to look up my platforms and they're going to see, okay, has Justin basically around the same level of subscribership and viewership and around the same number of people on his newsletter? Like, okay, his pricing hopefully is probably around the same, roughly around the same that it was last time, right? And so we are going to slot him in to our plan for this next campaign because we loved working with them on that last, partnership. And so we're just going to put them in the deck. We're going to send it over to the client and say, hey, yeah, we should work with Justin again because it was a really great experience. And then the client is going to turn around and say, okay, yeah, sounds good. Thumbs up. You've got the green light. Let's do this. The agency reaches back out and says, hey, Justin, great news. We've got another campaign that we're planning for the fall. We'd love to collaborate with you again. And you know what I say to them? I say, oh, well, you know what? I loved working with you too, but now it's going to be 20,000, or now it's going to be 50,000, or now it's going to be some, 2, 3, 4, 5x what it was the last time that they worked with me, right? And so now this agency has egg on their face because they have to go back to the brand and say, oh, I know we said that, we can lock Justin in, for the similar budget that we did last time, but now he's saying it's 2x or 3x his rate. And so you do not want that reality to happen. Now I want to pause here, and I know I'm going to predict what you're thinking, and you're be like, yeah, but what if my metrics, my viewership, my impressions, my downloads, whatever, have increased? Maybe I'm getting double the amount of views now or triple or whatever it is. Like, okay, absolutely, there's justification there to increase your rates. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying now here is that your goal when doing brand partnerships is to get predictability, consistency, income certainty. And so if every single time a brand or an agency reaches out to you, you are changing your rates, they're going to throw their hands up in the air and say, you know what, like we just can't rely. Every single time we reach out to Justin, his rates are different. Right. And so we just can't put them in our plan. And the whole point is you want them to put you in your plan, in their plan. That's the whole point, right? You want them to know, just keep bringing you business, keep recommending you to their clients and have some level of margin of error. Yeah, maybe it's like a, 10, 20%. That's fine. They can work with that. But if you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your rates every single time that brands reach out to you, it's going to be a really, really hard for you to get consistent income when working with brands. And my wife and I, we are a living proof. We are a living case study of this because honestly, we have the humility to understand that we are not maybe going to be the creators who are going to command the $250,000 deals or $500,000 deals or whatever it is. But we are regularly, consistently getting those $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 deals, right? And we're doing those over and over and over, right? And so we're hitting, maybe you call that a double, maybe we do deals for $5,000, single, right? But it's like we're doing this over and over, and we've been full-time creators for almost a decade. My wife has been full-time since 2012, right? So 11 years, right? And so this is a really, really, really important concept, which is that pricing consistency per brand and per agency is so critical because that's what's going to allow you to have this scalability, the sustainability when it comes to, getting certainty with sponsorships. And so this is just one factor, right? We've talked about a lot of different factors here, but it's so, it's a foreign concept, I think, to a lot of creators, which is why I'm out here banging the drum. All right. So does this make sense to people? Like, give me a little bit of validation here in the chat here that this is making sense, because I know in theory it makes sense, but I realize it's kind of hard to keep this mindset sometimes. So I'm going to take a swig here before we dive into Q&A. Yeah, Jareen says, I saw a video where you talked about the sweet spot of 5 to 50K. Use this as a framework, which is a game changer. So what Jareen is talking about here, I'm really glad you brought this up because this is perfectly relevant, which is that I had this anecdote where we were as a part of a multi-channel network for many years with our YouTube channels, and one of the brand one of the agency representatives pulled us aside at a dinner party one time. I think it was at VidCon, and she basically said, one of the reasons, because remember, my wife and I, we don't have 10 million subscribers. Like, we've always had hundreds of thousands. I mean, if you added it all up, it'd be over 1 million, obviously. But we've never been the 5 million, 10 million followers. That was never us, right? And yet this agency, this multi-channel network representative pulled us aside and was like, you and your wife get so many deals. You get so much business because you are in the sweet spot of what most brands can afford, right? the vast majority of brands cannot afford to pay a single creator 100K or 500K or 250K or whatever it is. Like, they just can't afford that. It's not in their wheelhouse to pay an influencer that type of money. You know what is in their wheelhouse? Typically 5 to 50K. Like, for most brands, most mid-tier to larger brands, like, that is what their comfort level is. And so as long as you can have the packages that you are providing to these brands, as long as one of those packages falls within roughly that range, you're going to win a lot of business. And that is a great thing. And so this is the anecdote of what Doreen was talking about, is like, you know, understanding this and realizing that it's okay to hit singles. It's okay to hit, you know, doubles. It's okay to get hit by a pitch and get on base. You know, I'm using these sports analogies, so I forgive anyone who is not a baseball fan and is not understanding what I'm talking about. But like, it's okay to just like, you know, have these like chunks of income that are going to add up to a very lucrative income for you over the year or over a longer time period. So the other thing too, that I'll say is that I am never like concerned about repeating myself, right? You saw that Doreen mentioned that I shared this in like a video one time. We're kind of transitioning into another topic here, but it's an important thing, because I think a lot of creators are scared to repeat themselves. They're scared to like, oh, I said that thing in a video, 2 months ago, or I said this thing on Twitter, or I made a post about that on Instagram, and so I can't really talk about that for like 6 months or something. Like, believe me, the vast majority of people who follow you, or who is in your audience or whatever, they did not see that post. I almost guarantee you. Right. And so I am like a big fan of just like, I repurpose the heck out of my content. I repeat it a lot. I tell stories over and over, because I know that, like, raise your hand if you'd never heard me tell that anecdote. Doreen saw that video, but that was like 40 minutes into a 60-minute video or something like that, or 50 minutes in, right? I remember that video. It was one of the first coaching calls I released, but like, raise your hand if you've never heard me share that anecdote, right? Or drop it in the chat. Right. And so I think it's a really important concept to understand that, like, the vast majority of people are not going to remember that you said this thing 6 months ago or 3 months ago. In fact, if you know probably that, like, I repurpose these live streams, right? I download the archive of the live stream, and I, cut it up and I turn it into shorts. I put it on YouTube, shorts. I put it on Reels. I put it on TikTok, et cetera, right? And so I think it's like a really important concept to understand, because the vast majority of people do not remember that you said that thing like 3 weeks ago. So that, I feel like, is a big unlock for a lot of people, because it's like, oh, maybe there are ways in which I can get more leverage or more lifespan out of the content that I'm creating. Because I am like a big fan of like, okay, I'm going to take this live stream, I'm going to make a blog post about it. I'm going to, for my newsletter, I write a unique piece, and then I'm going to make that a blog post, right? And so it's like, how can you start to work smarter and not harder? I think that's like a really, really important concept. Jay Klaus says, makes sense to me. What is going on? We've got creator royalty in the chat today. My good friend Jay Klaus. What is going on, man? Good to see you here. If you are not following Jay, are you living under a rock? Like, what is going on? Jay is he's an amazing friend, but more importantly, he is a really, really thoughtful and talented writer and creator. He has an amazing YouTube channel, amazing newsletter. I highly, highly recommend signing up for all of those things. I'm in Jay's private community called The Lab, and it's one of my favorite places on the internet. And so, by the way, Jay, I was just looking at my calendar. You and I are going to do a public sponsorship coaching call next week. Did you remember that this is happening? Did you remember that you agreed to do this with me? So I'm stoked for that, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be like breaking apart Jay's business and figuring out how he can make some more sponsorship income. All right, I'm going to take a swig here. All right, here we've got a question here from the Harsh Wise. Justin, I'm building a system to become consistent on YouTube, and that's started working well. I recently started 1K followers on IG, 250 on YouTube. Awesome. Congratulations. Can I reach out to brands for sponsors? 100%. You 100% can reach out. If you can tell me a little bit more about your niche, I can give you some ideas of like what you could say when you reach out to sponsors. Oftentimes what I talk about is that depending on where you're at in your journey, you're going to be pitching different things to sponsors, right? Given your footprint right now, which is, relatively modest, you're kind of in your growing phase. Probably what you're going to be pitching when you reach out to a brand is not, oh, I'm going to talk about you on my Instagram, or, oh, I'm going to talk about you on my YouTube channel. Like, that's probably not what you're going to be pitching, because candidly, it's not probably going to move the needle for them, right? There's not going to be enough eyeballs on that content to really drive an impact, right? And so perhaps what you're pitching in the early days is, hey, let me help create some content for your platform's brand, for your website, for your social platforms, for paid advertising, whatever it is. Like that's what I'm going to be able to do for you. Yeah, maybe cross-posting this, actually like uploading this on my channels as well can be part of this partnership, but there's these other ways in which I can serve you. And you use your social platforms, your Instagram, your YouTube as your portfolio. So when you say, hey, I can do this thing for you, you're not just some random person, pitching that. You can point back and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. Look at the quality of my content over here on these platforms here. So it really serves that purpose, right? And so that, Harshwise says it's productivity, self-growth, and self-growth niche for college students. So yeah, I mean, this is a great example. So maybe you want to go and pitch Indeed, right? Or Monster Jobs or something like that, right? Where you're going to be helping, college students who are trying to get their first job. And so, yeah, maybe you say, hey, I'm going to make some shorts for you. Like I know, this is like your ideal audience, right, is on my channel, and I really intimately understand them. Even though I'm in my growing phase, I can help you develop a more robust social strategy. Something like that. Maybe this brand is not on TikTok. Maybe they don't really have an adequate, paid media strategy, whatever it is, whatever the niche is. This is really, really, really an important concept to understand. Is that what you pitch is going to be different based on where you're at in your creator journey. So yeah, hope that helps. She-Fire says, I never heard that anecdote. Even still, we need reminders. 100%. See, there we go. Case in point. Jurian says reputation is king. People love consistency. It's true. It's true. We've got Thomas from Circle H Scuba tuning in. He said, shoot, I missed the start of this. It's okay, y'all. I did a public coaching call with Thomas of Circle H Scuba. Can't wait to release that because it was fire. It was fire. So that's going to be a great one. Good to see you here, Thomas. I got some questions here on IG, and I want to make sure we acknowledge that. We got John, we got Jackie, we got Empowered Platforms, who said, I just joined. We got Bianca in the chat. What's up, Bianca? Good to see you here. And John says, I just DM people for sponsorships and tell them that I love their products. Nora says, if we ask for a couple hundred more, maybe Nora had a question further up that I missed. I will not be making assumptions. If I got a gifted PR and the brand asked to repost, what should I do? That's a great question, Nora. Let's talk about this. So if you're a creator who is getting free products from brands, they're reaching out, they're saying, hey, we'd love to send you some free stuff in exchange for a post. That is, that's a very common ask that a lot of brands make. And so let's split hairs here because there's two situations that happen here. One, sometimes brands will reach out saying they're going to send you free stuff. They send it to you and then they follow up. They never said anything about this initially, but they're saying, hey, we'd love to, when you post it, like, here's the hashtags to use or something like that. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought this was no strings attached. Like, what do I do in that scenario? So that's one scenario. The other scenario is when they're overt about it before they send you it. They say, okay, in exchange for sending you free stuff, we expect you to make a post about it or something like that, right? And so how do you handle those two scenarios? So in the first scenario where, they send it to you, no strings attached, you thought, and then they follow up saying, hey, here's the hashtags to use. What do you say? And so you can be very tactful about it. You basically say, hey, I'm so appreciative of, you sending the product. It was my understanding that there was going to be no strings attached. I would be more than willing to share it with my audience. Let me know if you'd like me to send over a couple investment options of what that would look like. So you're just very clear about, hey, there is going to be a cost associated with that. If you can even go so far as to say, hey, if I didn't realize that was going to be part of it, I'd be more than happy to send this product back to you. Please send me a prepaid return label or something like that. If that's really, an issue, happy to send that back, right? You don't be mean. You don't be rude about it. You are very pleasant about it because again, the brand, imagine you're the brand. They probably have done this lots of other times and a lot of other people have been like, oh yeah, sure, I'll make the post for free, right? But you need to differentiate yourself. You need to illustrate that you're not that person, right? You're not going to be the person to post about it for free, right? And so there's tactful ways in which you can communicate that they have to pay you for that, right? And then the second scenario where they actually are like overtly saying in the outreach, we're only going to send it to you for free if you post it. And that's when you just set the expectations right up front. And you say, you know what? I'd be more than happy if you want to send this for free. No strings attached. I would be more than happy to take a look at it, to evaluate it. I would, love to check it out. I think your brand looks awesome. And if at that time, like after I check it out, you still are maybe interested in having me post about it, then I can send over the investment options. Is that a setup that you'd be comfortable with? And they're either going to say yes or no. They might ghost you. They may say no, and that's fine. You can shake hands and part ways, and that's fine. But they may say, oh, tell us a little bit more about that, because we are interested. It's in the brand's interest to not pay you, right? Because they have a lot of people who are just willing to do it for free, right? It's in their interest to not do that. And so you have to give them a reason to pay you, right? Imagine it was your brand. Wouldn't you prefer people posting about you for free and you don't have to pay them? Yeah, every brand is going to try to do this strategy, right? So don't get insulted. Just understand that this is the game. This is the game that they're going to play. And it's not malicious always. Like, here's the thing, like every brand, worth their salt is going to have 3 different types of strategies. They're going to have a gifting strategy or product seeding, hopefully this is what I advise to brands, is that should be a no strings attached strategy. You just send out stuff free, and whether people post about it or not, that's all going to be just icing on the cake, right? So that's the gifting product seeding strategy. Then you have every brand should have an affiliate strategy where, you're going to compensate people who, are advocates for your brand. You're going to give them 20, 30%, whatever it is, right? And they're going to make a commission, but you don't have to pay them a flat compensation. And then you have the flat fee, right? You've got the more holistic partnerships where there's a much longer laundry list of all the things that the person is going to be on the hook for, right? You're going to get rights to the content. You're going to get exclusivity. They're not going to talk about your competitors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So any brand worth their salt should have all 3 of these things. If it was your brand, you should have all 3 of these things. So just don't get insulted about it. It's not personal. This is business here. It's your job to communicate to them why they need to put you in this other category over here. In fact, I have this course called Gifted to Paid, and we talk about this specific thing, is that you should be pitching them different things based on if they say, oh, be an affiliate for us, or oh, here's free product. Oh, the product is expensive, so that should be compensation enough, or oh, blah, 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 blah. A lot of creators tune out and they're just like, oh, the brand's not going to pay me. This brand's not going to pay me, so I'm going to give them attitude or whatever. It's like, no, you have to be saying different things in each of these different scenarios. Okay? All right. I'm going to take a swig here, dive back into the chat. Lloyd Not George says, I love this praise hands emoji. Boom. Good to see you here, man. Appreciate that. We've got Pretty Distressed. We've got Lynn Sire tuning in. We got Macy Harrell. We've got Sweet Melly Bakery says, hi. What's up, Melissa? I have been getting bigger brands hitting up my inbox now, and I'm so confident respond. Hey, boo.
Hi.
What's up, baby?
What's Justin doing? And I forgot to. It was Friday.
I know it doesn't feel like Friday. How are you? How was your workout?
I'm good. I went to Trader Joe's. I
got
your spicy lentil.
Oh, the spicy lentil wrap. Ooh.
Hi, friends. How are you?
Give me a kiss. How was your workout?
It was good. It sucked.
It sucked?
No, I mean it was hard.
Oh.
Say hi. Hi, friends. How are you? Who's here today?
Yeah, a bunch of people across TikTok, Instagram. We got a bunch of people. Sweet Melly Bakery says she's getting bigger brands in her inbox recently.
Ooh, that's awesome. I mean, look at your stuff, Sweet Melly Bakery.
Dude, her is so decadent, the stuff she makes.
Girl, your cookies look delicious. Package it up and sell them. They look so yummy. I always tell her stuff looks like art.
It really does, though.
Like, people who bake could never be you. Okay, Sweet Melly Bakery, let me just put them on to you, because your stuff is bomb. Yeah. It's so artful and gorgeous, and just you are so talented at designing and photography and just videography. I am literally your biggest fan. Obviously, I'm over here talking about you all day. Hey, TC is me. How are you?
Everyone's calling you beautiful here. We got Hanati.
Dang, is y'all blind today? I literally went to the gym with no makeup. And you know what? I was wearing this, feeling like not cute at the gym. Well, I went to take Legree, and let me tell you, all those girls got 6-pack abs, but I see why, because the Legree classes are hard, and I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at myself like I do not fit in. But you know what? One day I will. I'm gonna be strong one day.
You already.
I'm gonna be so strong one day.
Results on results.
Where? I look like I'm wearing a muumuu to the gym today. Like, look, like. Look, it looked like a whole dress. Anyways, I'm gonna go do a Trader Joe's haul right now.
Okay. All
Love
right.
you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Love you,
Tell
honey.
my friends I said bye.
I will. Guys, I didn't mention this, but like, I'm feeling a little. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm feeling a little dizzy today because this is not something that I shared really, but I started intermittent fasting, and it's just something that I've been trying. So I'm doing a 16-8. So basically 16 hours fasting and 8 hours like your eating period, basically, or feeding period. And so I've only had black coffee. Usually I eat breakfast around 6 a.m. or 7. And so it's been about a week. I've been feeling good though. Like it's generally, but it's like I'm just about like I think 11:15 roughly is like my period when I can start eating. And so I'm just like, so if I'm feeling a little extra passionate or a little loopy today or saying some crazy things, that's you'll know why. But yeah, we always love April's cameos, right? They're fun. They're the best. Gracie says, April, love you guys. Yes. Thank you. So appreciate you. Good to see you here. Okay. I missed something, in the chat here. What did I miss? I was like reading something. Oh, Melissa said you're watching with your son and he has the biggest smile on his face right now for this shout out. That's so cool. That's awesome. Well, it's the truth. It's the truth right here. We've got Scoop and Wubby Baking Company. Oh, Lloyd says Matitude. Yeah. Oh, Matitude, man. I love that's funny. Treat it like a business says not the Matitude. Oh my God. That's hilarious. There was a question here that I wanted to answer that I missed. Why did I lose it? This is bothering me. Oh, here it was. Mrs. Juno says, do you have any YouTube videos on the end of campaign reports that you send to brands? I'd like to learn more about this. So Mrs. Juno, this is something I cover in detail in my course. So I don't have any YouTube videos or articles. I don't think about it. But there's a whole basically module, a whole week dedicated to the post-campaign report. So if you're interested in checking that out, go check out my course. It's Brand Deal Wizard. All right. There was another question though I missed. I can't find it though. That bothers me. Hopefully I'll remember it. Joreen says it takes a while to adjust, waiting for the feeding window. Okay, so it sounds like you're having some experience about this. Does it get better after the first week? I'm really committed to this process. I have not broken it. Like I've been like, I'm on a roll. I got like a 5-day streak or whatever. So does it get easier? Please let me know. I'm very curious about this. All right. Danny Marie says, I usually fast all day. My eating periods are 1 to 7. Oh my God. You do the 18-6 one. That's the 18-6, right? 18 hour on 6 hour feed. Wow. That's crazy. That's very impressive. All right. Thomas says, I had a question in the YouTube chat. Let me scroll back up. Oh, here we go. When you pitch 3 tiers to a potential brand, do you include when the content will be published or do you wait? Having some difficulty trying to manage my content calendar, but save a spot for a potential deal. That's a really good question. So one of the challenges about putting timelines or attaching timelines to your pitches is that sometimes it takes, every brand is different in terms of their approval process for greenlighting a potential partnership. So if you're trying to hold a spot for a brand and, the brand takes you a month or 6 weeks or something to get back to you, or 2 months or something like that, and you're just like, oh my God, I promised this brand that I could be able to do it, and now they're taking forever to like approve this, it's going to get into a really tricky situation. And so I usually don't assign deadlines or timelines or something like this. What you can do, what I have found helpful sometimes, Thomas, is to put a sample timeline in the proposal, right? So there'll be a page where it's like, a potential timeline, right? And you actually have dates. You say, okay, contract signed on this date, and then concepts delivered on this date, and then the first pulse of content delivered here. Here's the date in which you need to provide feedback. Here's the date when I'd send you revisions. Here's the date when I would publish it, et cetera, right? And so you give them an understanding of like what a potential partnership timeline could look like, but make it very clear that if you don't sign that contract by that date that you have in the contract or in the proposal, then everything is going to need to be pushed back. And so I think that it's just just about setting like expectations with them. And I understand, like, I know your content in particular, it's hard to plan because you have to actually go out there and you're doing scuba diving and you're using their product in the videos and all that stuff too. So it's not like you just like turn on the camera out of your house and like do the video, right? So it requires more planning and stuff like that. And so that's why it's more important for you to set those expectations when you're negotiating or you're on a phone call with the brand, and so they can understand like what the lead time would need to be to actually execute the partnership. So I think that's kind of how I would approach that situation. Doreen says, it gets better. Way easier to maintain as your body gets used to fasting. All right. Thank the Lord. I'm so glad to hear that. I've definitely been drinking more water and more coffee. And so I'm a little, that's also why I'm a little wired, because I drink a second cup of coffee in the morning and I normally don't do that. Thomas says, thanks, Justin. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Hit the nail on the head with it being difficult due to the additional planning required. Yes. 100%. All right. We've got Lila from YouTube. What's going on? Good to see you here tuning in on the Instagram chat. We've got Zamara Cueva Soto. Zamara Cuevas Soto. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Because it's always very important to me to pronounce people's names correctly, because it's very important to me. And so I don't know if I did that, but I did my best. I tried. All right, guys, we've got about 10 minutes left on the live stream. So what are your questions about brand deals, about partnerships, about negotiating? It could be about anything, actually. If you want to talk about, diversification, different monetization strategies. Hanadi says the course is everything. I mean, thank you. You are always so amazing, and I'm so thrilled that it was so helpful for you. Thomas says, as far as dizziness, you can put a little salt or no salt. It's a product. It has potassium in the water to help with lightheadedness for the fasting, or just take a little in your hand versus mixing in water if you want to avoid a shot of salt water. Interesting. So it's like a electrolytes thing. Is it like those? Is it LMNT? Is that what it's called? Or what's it called? Not Athletic Greens. There's that other one that it's like a powder thing. It's like a I think I know what that is. I'm like blanking on the name of it. Sweet Melly Bakery says, it really is everything. Man, you guys, those of you guys who are alumni on my program and you show up to my lives and like hype up my programs and stuff, always really mean a lot to me. My gosh. All right, let's see here. Liquid IV. Yes. Danny Marie. That's what I was talking about. Yes. LMNT is pronounced element. Today I learned. I really didn't realize that. I'm such a noob. That's so funny. I actually think April might have some of that, so I got to try that. Have you tried coconut water? No, I haven't. Is coconut water? It has sugar though, right? So I'm not allowed to drink that like on a fast. Isn't that true? I don't know. Maybe you can educate me. Oh my gosh, we got some controversy here from Harrow Style. A brand never used my content and thankfully paid me, but I wonder what happened. Oh no, am I missing another comment? Oh wait, a brand never used my content and thankfully paid me, but I wonder what happened. Of course, I thought I may have done something wrong. Is there another comment that I missed from yours? Because maybe I missed the context here. Yeah, I don't know. Give me some more context here. Lynn Sire says, what's the best way to pitch a brand so you don't seem like you're in it just for the money? Great question. I love this one. So a lot of creators ask me, like, what is the best way to pitch a brand to illustrate that you're not just in it for the money, but they still got to pay you, right? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, like when you help a brand, when you collaborate them, when you create content for them, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? And so you have to make it very clear, like, hey, like I'm going to help you, but there's got to be some, like dollars exchanging hands here. And so I am always a big fan of just being very upfront about it, right? You want to lead with the value. So the best way to do this, I have found, is I talk a lot about my rope pitching method, right? R stands for your pitch has to be relevant to a campaign that I have either run in the past or are currently running. O stands for organic, meaning that you have to tie your pitch back to organic content that you've already posted to illustrate that your audience already has affinity for their brand or their product. P is your pitch has to show how you have to be able to illustrate proof how you've helped other brands achieve results. And E stands for easy to execute. So you can, if they say, hey, yeah, sounds good, let's do this. Well, what are you going to do for them, right? You're actually giving them something tangible that they can react to. So you're saying, I'm going to do this for you, right? And so the reason that it's so easy, it's so much easier to ask for money when you structure your pitches in this way is that your pitch is tied to something that you've already researched is a goal of theirs, right? So they want to, spread the word about this new product line, or they are launching in the UK and they're currently in the US, or they're doing something, right? You read a blog post or you saw on Instagram that they ran this campaign last year and you're asking if they're going to run it again this year, right? You're doing something that it's a reasonable assumption that they're probably allocating money to. They probably have a budget allocated to this initiative, right? And so if you are basically saying, hey, I can help you accomplish that marketing objective, I can help you accomplish that outcome in the following ways, well, then of course, the natural next step is to say, and here's what the investment is going to be, right? You're not going to do this for free. It's very clear. You're going to help them accomplish this business outcome. The reason that it's so hard to ask for money when you're pitching, when you're reaching out and just pitching like, hey, I have 100,000 subscribers, or hey, I'm getting this many views, or hey, I would love to work with you. I'd love to collaborate with you. I love your brand. That is a very self-serving pitch. It's all about you. It's not about them. And so shifting this, repositioning it to help them understand that, hey, I'm going to help you do this thing, but it's the natural next step is compensation. You got to pay me for that. And so I think that at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. Okay, is understanding this positioning exercise and not just coming with your hands out or make it clear that, right? Oh, Hero Styles clarified here. A brand hired me. I did the revisions and then they never used the content. Yeah. So this has actually happened to my wife and I a few times, and it even went so far as we were paid a kill fee to not post the content, even though we did everything. We made the YouTube videos, we made the Instagram posts, went through revisions, we did we did everything. It was like ready to go, ready to hit publish. And the brand's legal team decided that they just no longer wanted to proceed on the campaign. And I think they paid us, what did they pay us? I think they paid us like $12,000 or something for the kill fee because we had it in the contract. We negotiated that. That's why this is so important, is that, we did all the work. We were ready to go. We were ready to publish. And so we actually had amended the contract because a lot of times when you read these contracts, a lot of times it'll say that the brand can terminate the contract in their sole discretion. And the brand will pay you a pro rata fee based on work already done or something like that. And we always modify that so it's very explicit that if the brand terminates the deal and we are not in breach, meaning that we have fulfilled our end of the bargain and all of the content is produced and it just hasn't been published yet they have to pay us 100% of the fee. And thank the Lord. And then the reason that we got so savvy about this is because we got burned on this in years past, where the brand was like, oh no, like, yeah, you did it all, but the publishing, that's like the big part of it. And so we're only going to pay you 25% or 50% or whatever. And it's like, what? But like, that was a lesson that we learned. And so now we always amend that term to include, hey, if we are like right at the finish line and we just haven't published it yet, you got to pay us 100% of the fee. Like that's how it is. Right. And so thankfully we had that in this deal and they had to pay us the kill fee. So it's like, this is just part of the reason why I'm out here educating everyone about this, because I just don't want you to make the mistakes that we made over the years. Thomas says, I need to get some contract templates to have things like that in here. Yeah, exactly. It's just, you don't know it's like a possibility for something to happen until it does, right? Which is always sucks. Jareen says, a kill fee is a must and always be specific about the details. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. Jordan says, I think coconut water breaks the fast. Yes, I believe it does too, because it's sugar, right? So I'm pretty sure that does. But that was a good idea. I got really excited for a second. I was like, wait, can I drink coconut water? And I don't actually think that I don't actually think that I can. We've got Seth Cross tuning in. We've got It's Isaac. We've got Tosh Magola, MK Santiago. Yes. Danny Marie says, yes, no sugar in the fast. Use Ultima. I give it to my kids, no sugar. I'm more happy when brands want raw footage and pay me, but I don't have to post it on social. Yeah, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, I think Liquid IV has sugar in it too. Yeah. I think so too. And yeah, it has sugar. Great for hydration. Ultima has no sugar. I recommend it. Oh, I'll have to, I'm going to take a screenshot of that so I can remember that one. Thanks for the heads up. That's cool. All right. Well, guys, we're already at time. So again, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for tuning in every week. It always means so much to me that I see familiar faces here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to go eat because I'm starving and I can't wait to do that. And yeah, Ramen Razzi says, thanks for the live. You're welcome. I have so much fun doing these. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next week. Peace.